everybody. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Minds of Mortgage podcast. I am Kelly Yale and delighted today to have Joe Wilson, the CEO and founder of Social Coach, as my special guest. Joe, welcome to the podcast. Thanks so much for joining us.
Kelly, wow. Pleasure to be here per usual. Anytime getting spent with you is amazing for me. So thanks for having me.
Oh my God, you're so sweet to say that. I mean, you and I have known each other a long time. We've had a fascinating sort of journey through our friendship. We've worked in various different technologies over the past, 10, 12 years, but we've always been in the mortgage tech space. And I would love for people to understand what got you here and what led you on the path, but also what inspired you to create Social Coach.
Yeah, well, taking it all the way back, I'm just a mortgage guy. I mean, that's what it started out as. My first job out of college was a loan officer, and I was that for 5 or 6 years. And I realized I was too much of a nerd to be a loan officer. I did pretty well. I did great, but I just love technology and wanted to always be on the software side. I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area. My dad was in tech, and that just had always kind of been where I figured I would land. So went to work at Mortgage Bot, which was like the pioneer of the online 1003 back in the mid to late 2000s. So that was really fun. I was excited about that. And then went to Ellie Mae and ran product marketing and did some sales there as well. And that was like incredible, to be able to be part of the software that powered the entire industry, essentially, right? You get to know a lot of people and see a lot of different ways that people are running their companies. That just really fascinated me about how each company does things slightly differently. And everybody thinks they're a unique snowflake, and 9 times out of 10 they're not. But there's that 10% that I totally hone in on and see wow, you guys are really special, and there's something really interesting that you're doing and looking at it from a different lens and operating in ways that were ultimately super successful. And from there, I'll spare you all the details, but we landed together at Fairway for some time, and really took that kind of software application and applied it into an actual organization. That was a true learning experience. Then went to Simple Nexus and grew that company pretty substantially over a short period of time. Everyone knows that story there. But then after Simple Nexus, I started talking to people like Kelly, CMOs, heads of production, compliance officers, et cetera. And just have been fascinated with social media and figured it was just the Wild West. And try to figure out, how do we wrangle this in? How do we organize this? How do we scale marketing efforts? Because everyone's just kind of spinning around doing circles all the time and nothing's ever getting done. And there was a huge gap between the top performers of people on social media and literally everybody else, right? And it's not even that 90-10, it's 99 and then 0.1% actually knew what's going on. But that's the way I saw the trends going of where consumer behavior was and where realtors were really getting a lot of business, but mortgage was dragging behind. And it's because there were really specific requirements around what needed to happen in order for loan officers to fully engage in social media. And that is the magic word of compliance. And so in talking with all these industry experts, put together a program, a software that really helps to make sure that everyone's compliant, but also a scalable marketing solution to help loan officers, real estate agents, marketing teams, and compliance officers to kind of be in the same spot and scale their social media efforts. And we're seeing some really dramatic success, Kelly, where people are telling me now, our loan officers that are on the platform, we got thousands of loan officers now, and they're time after time I'm hearing I'm getting 40% of my business from social media now. I'm getting up to 60, 70% of our loan officers are getting that percentage of their business from social media. And it's not just for funsies anymore. You have to do this. This is the way that our consumers, our borrowers, our realtor referral partners, other referral partners want to see you. And that's how they're going to remember you. And that's how they'll reach out to get business done. So it's no longer just something that we can dip our toes into. It's a full-on marketing and sales strategy now.
Yeah, and you say the right word to me. Well, you say all the right words to me because obviously we are 100% aligned when it comes to two words specifically, strategy and compliance, right? And it's the two things that are almost constantly missing from anyone's sales sales process. And I'm always like, but wait a second, don't you need to have a strategy in order to do anything? And it's like, no, we'll take it when it comes. And I'm like, but let me show you a different way. But then also the compliance angle. And I think, people will say compliance, right? It's sort of, oh, compliance. If you have been in marketing for the last 10, 15 years in this industry, and you haven't had a crash course in your PhD in compliance, especially for marketing, then you are not only missing the boat and putting your company in absolute danger, but just from an audit perspective, right? The sort of like sea of content that everyone just has the ability to do, where you get that audit in, it's like, okay, well, let's figure out, let's throw the net in and see how much of this we can get back in here. And it's like, why would you put your marketing team, your compliance team through any of that when you can have dialed in systems where you know that you're compliant? And then if you have an audit, you can say, hey, here's what you can audit.
This is it. This is how we are, what auditors and examiners are looking for is this, right? They want to know that you have a strong policy, right? So yep. Do I tell everybody what I expect from them? Do you have a way of enforcing said policy? Do you have controls in place to make sure the things that you say that you want are actually happening? And then do you have a way for your team to actually do the thing that you're asking them to do? Do you have a way for them to be compliant? And then do you have a way to correct any problems that are out there through monitoring and, making sure that everything gets back up to speed? Because there's always going to be problems, right? And it's not intentional. I don't think any loan officer ever wants to say something or do something that's going to get them or their company in trouble. It's just not that happen. But by nature, we say things that are slightly wrong, right? So you got to fix those things, and you have to show that you fixed the thing. And so if you're not doing that, the auditors you're gonna have to be printing out reams of paper, going through it. I mean, Kelly, you've been through audits. I've been through them too. They're a nightmare. If you don't have a way to show, if you don't have it lined up, it's going to take over your life for a month.
I think one of the things that people can't wrap their mind around, like a single enterprise level CRM at a company, right? But I ran one for a long time. And the amount of compliance that we were ahead of, but also just the level of recording that we did of every communication. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I joke around about when it comes to compliance is you try sending tens of millions of emails every year for 5.5 years without one compliance complaint. Yes. Not one time being blacklisted, not one thing. That is not even feasible for most people, right? But beyond that, come and ask us for an audit report. We'll be able to tell you every single thing that was ever sent out of this system. And aligned solutions allow you to do that, right? Because if I can take what you do and I can make it part of a contact record, we don't have to worry about whether or not John Smith was told X, because we know he was not. And here's the proof.
Yep, exactly. Well, it's getting trickier with today's media too, right? And this is something that I'm particularly proud about. So let me brag for a minute. But you think about it, cool. Watching an email or reading a caption is fine because I can just see the text. What about people but video content is what everybody's consuming today. How are you making sure what's actually being spoken is actually compliant as well? Because guess what? Technologies are 2 steps ahead of you. What do you think your state and federal regulators are looking at now? They're employing technology. If you don't think it's happening, it's happening. They're employing technology to listen to what's being spoken on social media. If you're not tracking that, you're going to be up a creek, and without a paddle, it's going to suck.
100%. And what's so, I this is an aside to you, and I'm definitely not using names of this, but I have a client, right? And so she does her video, she does it from scripts that are provided. She also uses Social Coach, but she also does a lot. She has somebody come in and do some video with her, right? And she works from scripts that are compliant, right?
Mm-hmm.
We get a report, we get just a request, right, from their compliance team at the company, and it said the font is too small. And I said, what font is too small? And they said, in the video. And I said, awesome, no problem. This is the standard compliant way to do it. But can you tell me what size you would like the font in the future?
Yeah.
We can't read it.
What size do you want?
Oh, okay. So can I just have your policy? Like, if you just send me over like your marketing compliance, I will assure you that this will be right. We don't have one. So I'm being held to a standard of guessing what font and color you would like to have so that it is readable to whom.
Yeah.
And it's like, it is absolutely mind blowing to me that we still live in a day and age where, one, like you said, we don't have marketing compliance policies that are adhered to and understood by the individual LO. But if you're not going to have that, then you better have some guardrails. Right. You better have some solutions for people because, and let's jump into, I want to make sure people understand what Social Coach is, because I didn't before I started using it. And also, don't try to get too excited. Joe lets me use Social Coach, even though I am not a loan officer or a realtor, because I think it's just such smart tech. And I don't ever say that. And there's no way in the world you would find me on record as saying that just about anything else. But I am very much on record as saying, giving people a solution for compliant video is a game changer. So tell us a little bit about what Social Coach is.
Yeah, so we're truly like an enterprise social media management and compliance software. So we're at that enterprise level, but we also have an individual plan as well. So what we do for an enterprise, though, is allow you to have all of your content, whether that be photograph or image post with caption or video content that's pre-made by the company. But we also allow you to have your scripts that you want to have for your loan officers to record videos. And all these can be sent either automatically or as a push notification to all of your loan officers in a randomized fashion or whatever way that you want to be sent it. So everyone's getting something new and unique every day. And then it can be segmented out by different audiences internally or externally. It's pretty cool. But that content then can then be pushed automatically out to your loan officers' Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, well, now known as X, and TikTok. But the video piece, like Kelly's saying, is really the big one. And that's where with those scripts, we have an in-app teleprompter, both in a mobile phone, but also on the desktop here where we're at today. You can record however you would like to do it. And then that video content can be either sent as is out to your social, or we have a full video editing team that can take it, add the dynamic captions, emojis, B-roll, music, etc., to really give that super polished content that's great for short form videos like Reels and TikTok and things like that, where you have to be a little more exciting and eye catching to stand out on there. And that's all done at like a very scalable solution, very low cost for those individuals, because it is that kind of like, things get cheaper at scale, right? So that's what it is. And then all of everything that we just talked about is done compliantly, because we do have proactive compliance filtering on there that's unique per company. So each company sets those rules and regulations around what you can and cannot say, if things are sometimes okay, sometimes not okay, or sometimes never okay. And we look at it in the caption. That's in real time for loan officers if they're typing something that they're not supposed to say, like, if I'm an IMB and I want to say, like, prevent them from saying like banks suck, and that will like not allow that to even go out on a social media. So you can make sure that like anything that goes out is clear. So we're looking at the caption. We OCR scrape the imagery. So even if they're holding up a sign that says, free loan, that's not going to work. It's not going to get out on social media. You don't have to worry about that. But we also transcribe what's being spoken in that video using AI, of course, and it goes against those rules that you have. And so even if the loan officer says it and they haven't written it or it's not on the image, we're going to catch that for you and make sure that you have full visibility into absolutely everything that's being written, posted or spoken, and give you the ways to see just those types of content. So you don't have to watch and look at absolutely everything, because there's no way, especially in these kind of economic times that we're in, that you can afford a team of people to watch hours upon hours upon hours of video content to catch this stuff. You just can't. So we kind of came in and are able to do that in a fully automated fashion for you, and just show you, and we tell you exactly every day, like, here's the 5 videos you need to watch. That's it. There were hundreds of videos that went out today. Watch these 5 and just see what's being said. And by the way, here's a timestamp of it, and here's what was actually said. So make sure this context is okay. And if it's not, tell the loan officer, and we've got a little way right there in the app, say, hey, we need to take this down or make these changes, whatever. And then we track all those changes, and it's in a report for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's, when I go back to the beginning of me coming in marketing in the mortgage industry, right? I had owned a social media marketing firm, one of the first ones in the country. And my whole background was social. And I remember it's 2012, and I'm sitting in front of a table full of loan officers, and I'm talking to them about how to use LinkedIn to grow their business. And they all but pat me on the head on the way out of that office. I'm not kidding.
Yeah. Oh, that's cute, but
oh yeah. Oh, look at the social media girl. She's and then flash forward to 4 or 5 days later, I've got grown men racing in my office and telling me that they left a recommendation for someone, and now they have 2 deals from it, and I'm just like, yes, that's how this all goes. But I can't even, I had to carve out a path, right? And just like you,
yeah.
How do you carve this path where you know the problems, right? As a CMO, the concept of being able to say, I run the websites, they're all here, they're all compliant. I know that because I am basically the overlord of these websites. We put out this content that I know is compliant. And for my loan officers, every week we send out a weekly strategy of, hey, here's what you can post. Here's what's going on. Here are your scripts that are already built into Social Coach for you. Here is the way that we can create success for you this week.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like a lot of CMOs have, whatever you want to say, have either the team, the skill set, the drive, or the ideas around creating that success for their loan officers.
Yeah, and honestly, you're not wrong, but I think that the one thing that happens a lot of times in marketing roles at mortgage companies, and you know this because you've seen this time and time again, is they become a gopher. It's like, go get me a flyer, go do this, go do that, and they don't have time for that strategy. They can't you're always spinning your wheels, that you never can take a step back and do something strategic that's going to help everybody all at once. And you need to do that, and that needs to come from the executive level, though. They have to recognize that that's what's happening, and you have to sometimes. This is going to sound heretical, but you have to tell the street, you have to tell your loan officers, hey, just calm down for 5 minutes. Let us do something that's going to help you in greater ways. And you might not get a flyer in 2 hours today. All right. Might be just by the end of the week, and you're going to be okay.
The entire premise of my book is, if you marginalize the role of marketing at your company will fail.
Yep.
So if you've got if your CMO even thinks about a flyer in 2024, you failed.
Yep.
The end. And so if we don't start taking this idea of let people flourish and thrive and lead from a C-suite seat, right? If you don't support that happening, then you will constantly be following the whims of the loan officers instead of serving them at the highest possible level. And we need to flip the script on that, right? Because I'm sure so often, if I right now took a job as a CMO and I had 5,000 loan officers at this company, the very first thing I would do is say, bring me the tech stack. Mm-hmm. And show it to me, and I'm going to eliminate half of this, and I'm going to align to this half, and every week you're going to have this. And it would be, now, is that your standard CMO conversation? No, that's why we're in the boat that we're in marketing, right? But think about the gift of strategy for loan officers, the gift of scripting in app, and with a click of a button, being able to have that video edited, compliant, and posted on their behalf.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, like, for me, and you know this, and you know me well enough to know I do not blow sunshine. But like, your product is a no-brainer solution to every problem most of my clients have, right? Which is just like, I don't have the time. But do you have 10 minutes?
You have 10 minutes. You have 10 minutes.
You have 10 minutes. You can do 2 videos.
Yeah.
10 minutes, and you're done for the week.
Like, let me ask you something. Do you have time to prospect for sales? Do you have time for that?
For those, most people say no.
If the answer is no, you need a new job. But if the answer is yes, okay, cool. This is how you prospect for new loans. This is how you prospect for new realtors. And it doesn't take you very long at all. And I think there needs to be a mindset shift to social media is not just, I'm checking the box. I'm getting social media so I can say I'm doing it because I think that's the right thing to do. To no. This is how I'm getting loans. This is, instead of going and visiting a realtor's office, which nobody does anymore because no one's in the office, right? Or sending out postcards or whatever the case is, spend 10, 15 minutes a day. That's all it really takes. And you can literally master it and be 1,000 times better than everybody else. But I want to go back to what you said there a second ago, Kelly, about your book, because this was like, everyone needs to read Mastering Mortgage Marketing. Is that right? Did I get it right?
Yes.
Mastering Mortgage Marketing, right? Okay, cool. I got it right. By Kelly. Okay, everybody needs to read Mastering Mortgage Marketing by Kelly Yale, and here's why. If you are an executive and you have not read this book, I can't recommend it enough. And if you need me to buy it for you because times are tough, I will do that because it's that worth it. And if there's one section that I think of the whole book that is worth it more than anything, it's the section about how to hire a CMO. She lists out everything you need to do to evaluate how to hire a marketing leader, because I see it so often that executives don't know how to hire a good marketer. They say, oh, you have marketing experience, or, oh, you are young, so I can just hire you because you get marketing. And if you're doing it that way, you've already failed, right? There's so many nuances to having a good marketing leader and a great marketing leader, that if you miss out on some of those, it'll just change your company overnight. And a lot of it is what Kelly said. There's got to be, you have to take a step back. You got to look at the tech stack. You got to look at your team. And from a strategic perspective, be able to say, here's what we're going to do. But the trick is, it's not just strategy, because never hire somebody who's just a strategy person, because they will just, suck your life out of you. And like, you'll go broke. It's going to be horrible. Strategy people are not right. It's strategy with a tactical execution of said strategy. If they can't do both, they're not your marketing leader.
I would say too, and I appreciate you saying that. I'm obviously really passionate about it, just also because I know, and this will rattle some cages, one super effective CMO is worth 1,000 loan officers. And if you don't grasp that concept now, don't start like open a McDonald's. Like the world has shifted so dramatically. If you think that I can't bring you more loans in 6 months than 1,000 loan officers can, you either don't have your data right, or you've just never seen it happen. Yeah. And it doesn't mean I don't need loan officers. Of course I do. But what a talented CMO brings to the table is the ability to say, here's the plan, here's how to execute on it, so that every relationship we ever encounter will do business with us. Yeah. We are going to build out every builder relationship, every realtor relationship, every financial professional relationship. And then we are going to make sure that we are serving our clients where they are, when they need us, how they need us. And this is the game plan. And not be afraid to say the things, because that's the other thing, Joe. That is the really hard part for most people, is they get the job. The rest of the C-suite is doing their C-suite things, right? And there's this idea that marketing's this. A CMO and a marketing operations leader right now should be two of the strongest seats in your C-suite.
Yep.
and along with a talented CTO. And if the CMO and the CTO and the marketing operations people are aligned, your company is going to explode.
100%. I could not have said that better. The alignment between marketing and tech and sales, that's the power. That's the magical power. There's nothing more to be said about that.
Well, we used to call it translators, right? And so the way that I always looked at it was, to be good at marketing, you have to fundamentally be good at sales. And a lot of people don't understand that, but marketing is technically the sale of the company, right? The selling of this whole company instead of a product, right? So you have to understand sales. And then what does sales really want? In mortgage, that can be a million shiny pennies. And so we have to be able to say, what they're asking for are solutions to these problems. And then you have to create those solutions, and then you have to deploy them and train to them. And I think that's one of the things that I love most about my clients using social coaches. It does take the one part of that off of our shoulders at the agency, because I can say, because they'll come, I don't know what to do on video, and what do I wear, and how do I do it, and when do I post it, what's a good time, and how do I hashtag? And it's like, holy cow, just plug into this.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what to say and how to say it, and make sure you do it safely. And your social media is going to grow exponentially if you just lean into the fact that someone solved a problem for you.
Everyone needs a Kelly Yale to be their shepherd. And just tell them what to just, if you do nothing else, hire Kelly to just, like, if it were possible, I would just have her say, I would be like, Kelly, just tell me exactly what to say, where to be, and I'll just do it. And she'll guide you to be exactly what you need to do.
Well, and you're kind to say that. Obviously, I'm the last person on the planet. Like, I can't really tell you that much about a mortgage. I certainly am not. I would never make a good loan officer, mostly based on the fact that if I ask somebody something twice, I get immediately irritated. And apparently that's a big part of the job. And so I kind of a fail there. And I don't expect that anyone in a specific role in the C-suite is there to say, this is how you do it, because we're all going to have variations on how to do it. Mm-hmm. But they definitely should say, these are the tools that we have to get you to where you want to be, whether that is video, whether that is strategy, whether that is a dialed in CRM, whether that is a recruiting strategy that will be adhered to and excited, get people excited to work somewhere, whether that's building the culture. It doesn't really matter. Right? The person who sits in the seat that shouldn't be afraid to make decisions, and they shouldn't be afraid to say no, because sometimes you have to say no to the sales team, and it's okay to do that.
That's right. Yeah. You have to sometimes say no in order for the greater yes.
A 1,000,000,000%, right? And they're more so than I've ever seen, but certainly not a massive open-mindedness. But we are starting to see a shift in the people who are saying, I don't want choices. I just want simplified solutions that are going to allow me to have a work-life balance. Yep. Where I'm not going to get in trouble for doing the wrong thing, where I can create a sphere of people around me who know what I do and are passionate about advocating for me. And I'm going to give them everything that they need in order to share a video online and say, hey, you might want to talk to Joe.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah. It's simple.
Yep. 100%.
I mean, it's simplified. Maybe that's the way to say it. It's simplified with the way I say it, but I do believe that the right company, and I always put myself up for adoption, right? Because I'm always like, if you're a mortgage CEO under the age of 35 who believes in technology and really wants to scale something, and you're not afraid to say no, and you'd like a bossy girl, I'm really your huckleberry. Let's you and I work together. But I think the legacy companies have a hard time with change, but I am seeing a shift.
Yeah, there are some, like I said before, like that sweet 10% of these organizations out there, and it's growing. That was a long time ago, but we are seeing more executives open their eyes and be like, okay, look, we've been through this terrible cycle over the last 5 years, right? We had massive rate drops. We had a refi boom. We had amazing purchase market for a while, to literally overnight like, is my company going to survive?
Right.
And I think these last 5 years have made some major introspection for hopefully everybody, but for the good ones, right? To say, like, we can't continue to have this boom and bust cycle. I
Yeah.
can't continue to hire and fire all these individuals and be wondering if my organization is going to survive if the with rate fluctuations like this. And I think it's opened them up to say, like, let me take a step back and look at my overall organization, every single piece. And it's good. I think, and they're doing what you said to do earlier, which is like, let me look at my entire tech stack and see what I can cut. And there are so many different things out there that you're supporting that do one little thing versus like a larger piece of your organization. And then sometimes there's things that are too big that are ineffective because you can't be everything to everybody, right? So there's a sweet spot in there. But I guess what I'm saying here is, yes, everyone is, like, most companies now are wanting to hire a bossy babe like you, right? Like that's what it is. They need you to come in and tell them what to do.
Yeah, it's funny because I mean, we joke around about me being bossy. I'm kind of bossy, which is fair. But
Very good way.
at the end of the day, what I genuinely am so passionate about, and I think you're the same way, is a lot of times I feel like I know a secret. And if I can just get someone to listen to that secret, I know that their life is going to be better.
Yeah.
And they're going to affect a lot of lives that are going to be better.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just really frustrating because, like, your platform is a perfect example of that, right? We joked around before we started recording because I'm such an advocate, but it's such a no-brainer solution to a problem. But, like, getting comfortable on camera and getting comfortable in social media, putting yourself out there and making yourself vulnerable and all these things, it's hard, right? And all somebody really needs to know is, like, hey, I got a secret. There's a solution for you.
Yeah.
And it goes like this, and you're going to feel a lot better. And sometimes just being that secret holder is so frustrating for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the most difficult part about that is when people are not willing to listen.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know, like, it's not just even like, I guess, I'm willing to shout from the rooftops. And people, and I have for the last 4.5 years as we've had this organization built out and live, and it's gotten better and better, of course, over time. So maybe the first 1.5 or 2 years, it kind of sucked, but, like, here we are, the last 2 years, it's awesome, right? Like, it's a real product, and we have, thousands and thousands and thousands of loan officers using this now, and major success. And so it's like the ones that I see, I'm like, I want to shake you and tell you, look, here are the results. You can have these too. And I want to tell it to companies as a whole, but each individual loan officer, like, if you're not doing this, you're missing out. And if what it comes down to, Kelly, and you kind of said this, and I'm not sure if you meant it this way, but, like, people are afraid to put themselves out there. They're afraid of showing up on social media on camera. And you just kind of, like, yeah, that sucks. That's a real thing, but you got to get over it. And the ones that do get over it really succeed. They're like, I'm told all the time, oh, I'm too old for this. No, you're not. Actually, this is a really fun story. We have a team of, there are 5 or 6 loan officers who are all 70 plus, and they work at a credit union in Phoenix. And they have fully embraced video content marketing on social, and they are the absolute best. These guys now are getting, every time they post, they get a lead, every single time, which that's unusual. But what I want to say is, if you think that you're too old, you're not, because, like, we've got the proof. And honestly, if you are that old and you think you're too old, you really should lean into it, because that's a different voice than what's normally out there, and you will stand out and you will succeed.
I mean, I'm telling you right now, one of my favorite people to follow of all time on social media is a woman who has to be 85 years old, and she lives in a nursing home, and she always does her, like, get ready with me to go play bingo. And I just think it's the funniest thing I've ever witnessed, and I just love it. And she so embraces it, and that's what makes her approachable, is because, she's put on her little Clinique makeup in the mirror and talking about what's going on at the nursing home. And I'm like, ma'am, I would pay for this content. Okay, this is bringing me joy. So yes, you're never too old for social. You're never, I'm a huge advocate for people being their own best cheerleader, right? We tend to be the exact opposite, and most people tend to like look at things in a very critical way. But here's the thing: the bravest, the smartest, the best salespeople are the ones who are like, look, here I am. Take me as I am. I just want to add value to your life. I just want to create a community where I have really solid people around me. And yeah, will I look like an idiot sometimes? Probably, but who doesn't? Yeah. And this is just where we go in life. This social media is never, well, I shouldn't say never going to go away, because watch this come up in 20 years. But social media, for the most part, is the great connector. The same way that the internet was when it first came out, social media is our great connector. And so if you can find an audience, if you can find a niche who appreciates what you do, welcome to the world of sales.
Yep.
Right? I mean, It's crazy. Joe, if they want to learn more, they go right over to socialcoach.com, I would assume.
Not socialcoach.com, socialcoach.io.
Oh, well, my apologies.
You can go to socialcoach.com if you live in Australia and you need help dating women.
Honestly, that sounds like a better platform. I mean, I don't judge you, but I mean, I do want to know how to get a good Aussie girl.
I am not affiliated with that organization. We did try to buy the domain, and they wanted a ridiculous amount of money for it. But no, socialcoach.io.
Okay.
Or you can find us on socials, or drop me a DM on LinkedIn, or anyone on our team, and we'll be happy to help you.
And just one more like little thing. This is the most fangirl I've ever been in a podcast. I'm embarrassed of myself, and it's really not for you. It's really for the product. But I mean, genuinely, I'm so grateful for the product for myself. And just the amount of time and effort and energy it saves me. I know we probably don't want to promote realtors and LOs using it, but I genuinely am so grateful for your team, because I always put a little note. I'm like, don't forget, I'm not a loan officer. And they're like, we know, Kelly. So it's just fun. But I really do appreciate how you're really shaping sort of the future of how people can approach social. So I'm grateful for having you on today.
Thanks, Kelly. Grateful to be here, and for all your kind words today.
All right. Thanks, Fred.
Yep.